So how can we get people to participate in movements for change? And that's the whole thing too, and again, why I wanted to have you all think about using social media and content creation and what have you to solve the Girl Up Challenge. It's really about, as I said back in that chart from 2003, people just don't want to be made aware of things, they want to do something about it. So how can we get people to participate? So when I was at Burnett and working on Nintendo, I was able to do a project to examine why people participated. So we studied gamers and fan culture, so like people that are crazy for Lost or Star Trek or what have you. And I got to interview this guy, Henry Jenkins, who was at that time at the MIT Comparative Media Department. He literally wrote the books on participation. He wrote a book called Convergent Culture and a bunch of stuff. Anyway, we did a quantitative study to figure out why do people participate. So think about this as well when you think about participation ideas. Like before you go to the channel, like I'm going to do a Twitter feed or a Facebook page or a game or a community or whatever it is, think about why somebody might want to participate. And there's 4 drivers or motivations. So one is self-improvement, just becoming more educated and informed. So we had gamers going to sites trying to find the Easter eggs and all the games. You know, they wanted to like outgame the game and find stuff out. The second one is a huge one, and I'm sure this is something that you're probably including in a lot of your campaign ideas, but expression. So people like to create content, they want to express their opinion, voice their support, tell their own story, co-creating ad materials. I think this is an area that has yet to be really mastered. A lot of people have been talking about co-creation for quite a while, and there's been some really big flops, some really big duds out there that unlike the Oscars and the Super Bowl and what have you. So I'm interested to see how people can really crack that. And for what it's worth, what Henry Jenkins says, and I believe him, is mass media is still the muse. In other words, don't give a consumer a blank slate and say, come up with an ad, because they're not professionals. But if you create the frame and you create the idea, just like that, you know, when they said end malaria, something that people can play with and copy and repurpose, just like they did with Obama and kind of, you know, do their own thing with. Not everyone's a joiner. I'm not a joiner. I'm not one to, like, you know, carry a flag or wear a little button or whatever, but some people are. You know, some people want to join a group of like-minded people, band together, share experiences. And then the last one I think is a huge driver is this idea of influence, that like one person can actually have influence. So this won't be meaningful to you guys because you're so young, but Dan Rather, do you remember Dan Rather? He was like a respected newscaster in America for years and years and years. A blogger took down Dan Rather because a blogger found an inconsistency in a story that they did about the records of Bush being in the National Guard, not being in the National Guard during the time of Vietnam, and his career ended because of one blogger, because of one person. And so that's both exciting and scary. But people really do want to be a force and exert their power. That's how to get people to participate, but how do you start a movement in the first place? And it wouldn't be a planning presentation if there weren't a TED Talk, so here's a 3-minute fun little video to end our talk.
So ladies and gentlemen, at TED we talk a lot about leadership and how to make a movement. So let's watch a movement happen, start to finish, in under 3 minutes and dissect some lessons from it. First, of course you know, a leader needs the guts to stand out and be ridiculed. But what he's doing is so easy to follow. So here's his first follower with a crucial role. He's going to show everyone else how to follow. Now notice that the leader embraces him as an equal. So now it's not about the leader anymore, it's about them, plural. Now there he is calling to his friends. Now if you notice that the first follower is actually an underestimated form of leadership in itself. It takes guts to stand out like that. The first follower is what transforms a lone nut into a leader. And here comes a second follower. Now it's not a lone nut, it's not 2 nuts, 3 is a crowd, and a crowd is news. So a movement must be public. It's important to show not just the leader, but the followers, because you find that new followers emulate the followers, not the leader. Now here come 2 more people, and immediately after, 3 more people. Now we've got momentum. This is the tipping point. Now we've got a movement. So, notice that as more people join in, it's less risky. So those that were sitting on the fence before now have no reason not to. They won't stand out, they won't be ridiculed, but they will be part of the in crowd if they hurry. So, over the next minute, you'll see all of the those that prefer to stick with the crowd, because eventually they would be ridiculed for not joining in. And that's how you make a movement. But let's recap some lessons from this. So first, if you are the type like the shirtless dancing guy that is standing alone, remember the importance of nurturing your first few followers as equals. So it's clearly about the movement, not you. Okay, but we might have missed the real lesson here. The biggest lesson, if you noticed, did you catch it? Is that leadership is over-glorified. That yes, it was the shirtless guy was first, and he'll get all the credit, but it was really the first follower that transformed the lone nut into a leader. So as we're told that we should all be leaders, that would be really ineffective. If you really care about starting a movement, have the courage to follow and show others how to follow. And when you find a lone nut doing something great, have the guts to be the first one to stand up and join in. And what a perfect place to do that, TED. Thanks.
So you can do this. You really can, and I know that you will. It's as simple as he said. You just have to get some people doing something around an idea that can spread like a virus for good. And so that is my presentation on social selling, and thank you for your attention.